God, oh, I can't see tomorrow. Gotta live, try to get a little wiggle room, the rest don't stop. Quid pro quo, I need the best y'all got. Tryna make a dollar, flip it like it's vinyl. Tryna make a way. What's it worth to you if the price too high? Quid pro quo, I need the best y'all got. Give me your best. I won't take nothing less, cause I'm giving you 100. How you always leaving me with nothing? I'm not impressed. It's gonna take more than this, cause I'm giving you 100. And I don't even know if I can trust you for nothing.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Monday. It's Monday. It is December the 5th, and my name is Aaron Dwyer, and I'm one of the owners of Exit Realty Lake Country, and hopefully we're going to have some people that jump on here live, but we do this every morning, 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central. Sometimes Christy joins me. It's always good when she does. Sometimes she doesn't, but I don't know where you are in the world, but hopefully you'll be waking up to see that we are rocking and rolling this morning. It is Monday, so it's travel day for me, and it is. Hang on one second, y'all. Sorry about that. We had a little interlude there. We've got kids getting ready to go to school and trying to get out of here. So Monday's travel day. I guess maybe I am ostracized from that group. I don't see anybody here this morning, but again, we do this every morning, 5:30 to 6:30 or 5:30 Eastern, 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central. Good morning, Brenda. For those of you who are up this morning and join in live, we always ask that you guys give us your name and say good morning, Vanessa Self. So you see our agents are popping in right here. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Hoping to get this week started off. This starts I guess for us, for Christy and I, this starts the week of, good morning, Alex, starts the week of Christmas shenanigans. So tonight in Greensboro, Lake Oconee, we have the Lake Country Board of Realtors Christmas event. So we'll be there this evening. So I think we'll see Alex and Joseph and Millie and those of you who are going to, good morning, Teal. For those of you going to the Lake Country Board of Realtors Christmas event, we'll see you guys tonight. So looking forward to seeing some faces. And then, of course, I think that's it this week. And then next week, we obviously the 13th have our Christmas party, the Exit Realty Lake Country Christmas party in Watkinsville. Good morning, Michelle Tilson. I'm telling you, I guess premieres are always fun. The first one's always the best because you have no comparison. But if this year's party on the 13th supersedes last year's party that we had at Chops and Hops in Watkinsville, this is going to be an absolute hoot. Last year was so much fun. Last year's party was so much fun. We had an absolute ball. We're going to do it. We're going to set it up a little bit differently this year. So hopefully that allows for everybody to not get stuck at a table. You're not going to get stuck with the same people the whole night, and unless you like those people. We'll hopefully let you guys get up and mingle about and do some things throughout the evening. So looking forward to that. That's next week. I guess this week we have some more SWAT meetings, I believe. Last week we had some really good ones. I think I really do believe. I wish there were more, y'all. I wish more of y'all would jump on those SWAT meetings. I know it's inconvenient. I know that it's, when I say inconvenient, I'm giving it air quotes because that's really just kind of making excuses. But I I don't want to be really hard on y'all, but thanks to everyone who has taken the time to see that it's important because it's important not only for your business, but it's important for you. I hope you guys know this. The SWAT meetings are all about you. It's all about where you want to be, where you want to go, where you've been, where you are, where you want to go. How do you want to build your 2023? How do you want to build your business over the next 12 months? That's what these SWAT meetings are all about. And I wish I could get more people involved in this, that I could get more of you guys scheduled on these things to buy into, how important it is to have a vision, to have a plan, you do it in so many areas of your lives. And so it's super important to do it for your business as well. Again, we talk about a lot of things other than business in those meetings, because most of our businesses are a function of who we are as a person, right? When I say most of us, I mean all of us. Our businesses are a function of how we are as a person. Our businesses function to the degree that we are satisfied with ourselves. We are happy with who we are. We are confident in the person that we're becoming. Our businesses reflect that. So, everybody, would you agree with that? I don't think I'm saying anything that's crazy. I think the fact that everything that we do is all intertwined, and everything we do all works together, and that is kind of what I'm going to talk about today. I'm on this. I had a weekend of hockey, and all you Georgia fans are celebrating because Georgia. It looks like the Georgia Bulldogs are quickly becoming a newer and improved version of Alabama's dynasty. I think Kirby Smart's going to be loaded for a bunch of years. I think you guys, you might as well ride this train as long as they'll let you stay on it, because I think old Kirby has found the missing link, and he has found a secret treasure trove of athletes, and he's found a way to connect to them. Stetson Bennett's a fantastic story. I don't know his whole story, but it seems like I remember something being said that he wasn't a starter, wasn't drafted, wasn't really recruited that heavily, and ended up there as a walk-on, and sort of waited his turn and bided his time and worked hard, and kind of in the shadows and on the sidelines. And I'll tell you a funny story. So high school, that reminds me, this is maybe a great segue into this morning, because I remember in high school that same kind of story. So I was a senior in high school. Jonathan Quinn was, I think he was a sophomore. Yeah, because we didn't have any freshmen on the varsity team then. So I was a senior. Jonathan Quinn was a sophomore. Jonathan Quinn fancied himself a quarterback. I'd watched Jonathan play his freshman year of high school, and to say that he wasn't very quarterbacky is an understatement. It was fairly awful, but he was bound and determined that he was going to be a quarterback, and he had great size for a sophomore. I think he was 6'1", 6'2", 6'3" as a sophomore. And I remember my senior year of high school, I was a starter, and we're on the sidelines on a Friday night. And our sidelines were super, super small between the actual field and the fence, so it was very, very close, very compact. And this stands out to me because it resonated with me this night. And I looked at Jonathan. Y'all, the coach didn't even give him a quarterback face mask. That's how unquarterbacky he was. This dude's helmet he had a lineman face mask. So if you know anything about football, with receivers, you don't want anything in your face. So for a lineman, there's a bar. There's a bar in your face mask. So when you smash people's heads, nobody gets in your eyes. Well, that was the old indicator. It's kind of like the two stripes in Pee Wee football. If you had two stripes on your helmet, that meant you're heavy. But they gave him a helmet with a lineman face mask with a bar in the middle of it. And I remember on the sidelines looking at Jonathan Quinn throwing footballs, just standing there because he wasn't ever going to play, and just throwing footballs at somebody. Another sophomore, they're just back there. He's just back there throwing passes to this guy, and they're wobbly and duckish, and they're not very good. Everybody's like, Jonathan, what are you doing? I'm just kind of killing time. Y'all, Jonathan Quinn ended up his senior year of high school getting a full ride. I don't remember where he went to college, but I want to say it was MTSU. but went to Middle Tennessee State University on a full ride. See, 2 years later, 24 months later, got a full ride scholarship to MTSU or wherever he went to college. And then 4 years later, after he finished college, got drafted in the NFL. And he played about 5 or 6 years in the NFL. And now he's the head football coach at a college in the Northwest. So suffice it to say that things change. And in 24 months, your life can look completely different. In 6 years, your life can be immeasurably different. And you can be in such a different place in 5 years than you are right now, no matter what it looks like right now. No matter what people think about you, no matter how you're perceived, no matter what your physical ability is in the present moment, we all have the ability to change and transform if our dream's big enough, if our desires are big enough, if we can beat down all the noise from the outside and our belief in ourselves is bigger than the noise. Stetson Bennett's the same kind of story. Stetson Bennett's the same story. And these stories should inspire you. And these aren't like Michael Jordan stories. These aren't, oh my God, I was born this way. And, I grew up when I was 8 years old, I was 6'3" and I could dunk a basketball by the time I was 10. I mean, there's some of those stories out there. There's a kid right now who's like 12 or 13 years old somewhere, and he's 6'3", can dunk. I mean, he's like 12. That's 2 years older than Jagger. I mean, the growth hormones in chicken nuggets at McDonald's must be fantastic, because this kid looks like a grown man. But my point of it is this: when your beliefs and when your belief in yourself and your desire to reach a certain goal, your desire to realize your dream, your desire to activate your potential becomes bigger than the noise from the outside, nobody can stop you. And you can completely transform your life and transform your business and transform your family and transform yourself. You can look completely different in 6 years, in 5. I mean, it's 2022. In 2017, I didn't know Christy. I mean, I think about that. In 5 years, my life has changed completely in 5 years. I mean, like, there's the only thing that's the same is I still have Jagger. I have my kids. That's really the only thing that's the same. Everything's changed in 5 years. So in light of that, what is it? What could change for you in 5 years? What could be different for you in 5 years? I mean, think about Georgia football. 5 years ago, Georgia football, I mean, up until the last 5 years, Tennessee, go Vols, had a winning record lifetime against Georgia. I remember times when Vanderbilt was beating Georgia. I remember times when Georgia wasn't who they are. I mean, 5 years ago, they weren't who they are now. So in a period of 5 years, changing a coach, bringing in Kirby Smart, an ex-Alabama coach, a Nick Saban disciple. Hey, Carson. A Nick Saban disciple, somebody that comes in and transforms the culture, and it's a buzzword right now, but truly transforms the culture of that university's football program. And now they're on the, I mean, right now Georgia's on a path to be a dynasty. Because I don't think, you never hear Kirby Smart's name mentioned in any NFL jobs. You never hear Kirby Smart's name mentioned at any other football jobs. You never hear Kirby Smart's name mentioned anywhere else. You always heard Nick Saban's. You always heard these other ones. I don't think Kirby Smart is ever leaving Georgia. I think they will bury that dude, and they'll dig out some of the hedges in the corner of that stadium and bury him up underneath there. I mean, that dude I don't think he's ever leaving Georgia. That guy's he bleeds red and black probably more than Michelle Tilson does. I mean, that dude is all Georgia Bulldog. I mean, that's all he is. That's who he is and what he wants. And so I think so hallelujah. It's great to be a Georgia Bulldog, isn't it? But who knows? Well, you'll see. I think Georgia's going to win another national championship this year. There's no way Ohio State beats Georgia. There's no way that Michigan beats Georgia. Certainly, there's no way TCU beats Georgia. So, if you can table your excitement for a little bit and not get completely nutty, I think you're going to have a fantastic year. So I'm looking forward to watching what happens unfold over the next 4 weeks. So let's talk about this morning. So I want to talk about that transformation process. I want to talk about some of that going from where you are to where you want to be, which again is part of that SWAT meeting. It's part of us taking some time to really help you envision or help you feel or help you believe in what you can achieve, help you believe what's possible. Because again, y'all, the reason I say this all the time is because it's all the time true. You need to brush your hair there in the back. Hey, Sparky, you need to brush that down on the back. It's sticking up. You need to put a brush back there on the back of it. Sorry, I'm talking to Jagger. Who you're going to end up being as a result of who you believe you are right now. Who you're going to end up transforming into is who you believe you are right now. And so we spend a lot of this time with you guys talking about your dreams, talking about your desires, talking about what you can achieve and what we believe you can achieve, because sometimes it takes a coach to say, this is what I see in you. This is the potential that I see in you. Sometimes it takes somebody from the outside to say, hey, this is where I see you're lacking. This is where I see you're not measuring up. This is where I see you need to work. These are the things I think you need to do. I mean, Jagger had a weekend, had a good weekend, not a great weekend, but he had a good weekend where he did a lot of small things well. And there were a couple of things that I didn't think he did very well. And of course, I'm a dad, so dads get frustrated with kids. And of course, I get a little frustrated with Jagger, admittedly, after a weekend of hockey where I thought maybe he could have done this differently, but in the heat of the battle, I mean, you when the real bullets are flying, you got to do what you can do, right? And so I said, just go talk to the coach. Why don't you walk up to the coach, go ask him, how do you think my weekend was? What do you think I could have done better? How can I improve this next week? Because they're going to Indiana this weekend, and he did. And he got some good feedback from the coach. Good morning, Anna. And he got good feedback from his coach. I mean, and the coach said, you're doing all the small, and doing some great things well, or some small things really, really well. And so that helps Jagger with that feedback. That helps give him some feedback. That loop comes back around. He has the input, the effort, the performance, and then it comes back where he gets to have the communication from the coach that resonates with what he did. And sometimes that's the best part of having a coach is, and that's what Coach Burt always says, everybody needs a coach in life. And I agree. Every high performer has a coach. And I think the coach gives you that feedback loop. Christy and I try to be that feedback loop for you guys and let you know, hey, this is where you've been. This is where you are. This is where we see you need to go. Here are the places that I think you're not measuring up. Here are the places where I think maybe you're missing a couple of things. Here are the places where I think you could do a little bit better. And then that gives you some feedback instantly, some instant feedback on where you need to be and what you need to be doing and where you need to go and the effort that you need to put in. Because, again, this life thing that we do, our businesses, they are a collection of little individual pieces. Think about this biologically, molecularly. You are a collection of atoms and molecules. You're a collection of little bitty things that you can't see. You're a collection of your past experiences, your present experiences. You're a collection of your thoughts about yourself, your thoughts about where you ought to be, your thoughts of where you should go. So all these little parts and pieces are a piece of who you are. And you walk around throughout your day being a collection of all those little pieces and parts. Hang on one second, y'all. Hang on one second. Sorry, y'all. Caitlin's taking Jagger to school this morning so I can get on the road early to Georgia. And I'm trying to make sure they get all their stuff put together. So it's like I'm single dad in here. You hear the washer and dryer running in the background, trying to get stuff done and trying to get 2 kids out the door. And he's got to take his hockey stuff with him because he's got to go to Indiana next weekend. And I don't think I'm going. So, wow. A lot. Let me gather my thoughts again. So far, can everybody agree that who you are right now walking around, you are a collection of atoms, molecules, and past experiences, present thoughts, and future hopes. Would everybody agree with that? That's who you are right now. That your interactions with other people, your communications with potential leads, your communications with your past clients, your communications to those referral clients, your communications to your spouse, to your friends, everything that you output is a direct reflection of what's been inputted. Everything that you put out is a direct reflection of what you've put in. So in that regard, one of the books that I'm reading is Be Your Future Self Now. And it's talking about the connection to, or the connection of your present self to your future self. And it says that our behaviors and actions in the present are a direct reflection of who we believe we're going to be in the future. So think about this. Go back to my original example, if Jonathan Quinn did not believe in his heart he was going to be a quarterback, he would not have stood on the sidelines throwing footballs. If Stetson Bennett didn't believe that he was going to achieve being a starting quarterback at the University of Georgia from the time he was like 8 years old, he would have done everything in his power through every single person that told him no, through every single person that said you're not going to be, through every single person in every single situation that said that it wasn't possible. He wouldn't have stuck with it. Hang on. Sorry, y'all. Sorry about that interruption, but I think they're done. I think they're finally out the door. Now I'll have his Cooper in my lap here. What? So back to what I was saying. Can you agree with me? Can you agree that your present behavior is a function and a result of what you believe about yourself tomorrow, next month, next year, 2 years from now? And that what you'll do, what you'll accept, what you'll allow in your life in the present is a result of what you believe yourself to be tomorrow, 2 months from now, 2 years from now. Because if there were certain things that you didn't believe about yourself or didn't believe yourself to be, okay, now they're leaving. Sorry, y'all. Sorry for the distractions this morning. I really, really apologize. But it's a necessary distraction. That way I can get out of the house earlier. This is a pretty good message, I think, this morning. Okay. So from a granular level, the book, this one, Be Your Future Self Now, which again, this book was given to us, me and Christy, by Tammy Bunnell. It's a fantastic book. But one of the headlines and one of the little so they'll have a title of this chapter and a little picture that has a little small description. I know, Teal, but sometimes I know these weeks are hard. These weeks are hard when I get finished up. I'm having to be a single dad, and it's and it's still sad when he leaves. Sorry. But in this book, you have the chapter, and then you have a little picture. Then another picture that kind of describes kind of the in a sentence or two what the chapter's about. And one of the sentences below that picture is your decisions today, okay, are based on your future self. And it said it differently, but that's the gist of it. The decisions that you make today are directly tied and connected to who your future self is. So if we allow certain things in our life, if we allow present day dishonesty, if we're not fully truthful, if we don't work as hard as we should, if we don't give everything we can in these present moments, then at some level, we have a skewed version or a skewed view, or maybe not a great view of our future self, of our future situation. Because if we did have a undying, unencumbered, completely focused, high version of our future self, there would be things that we wouldn't allow in our lives right now. And so and I can use a lot of examples where this is concerned. And I think if I look at the Kirby Smart Stetson Bennett example, so if I take Stetson Bennett out of the picture and I have Kirby Smart that I'm going to insert into being the head football coach at the University of Alabama or University of Georgia, sorry, y'all, coming from the University of Alabama, seeing what he saw, taking some of those nuggets that he saw Nick Saban, and then sort of transmuting that culture, sort of taking a piece of that culture out of the University of Alabama and dropping it into the University of Georgia. I would venture a guess that one of the first things that Kirby Smart did is he put his signature on the program, meaning when he came in, he said, I want the facility to look like this. I want to change the locker room to look like this. I want to have these kind of sayings on the wall. I want this to be what our weight room setup looks like. I want this to be the parking lot where the staff parks in. I want the meeting rooms to have these kinds of chairs in them. And I want to have these kind of murals on the wall. So every little thing that Kirby Smart looked at, he put his signature on it. Every little thing, every little piece had an impact on the outside, on the future result. Every little thing he did from the beginning of him walking in that building and him signing that contract to say, okay, I'm going to be the head football coach at the University of Georgia. I understand the responsibility. I play here at the University of Georgia. I get what it means to be a University of Georgia Bulldog. So let me do what I need to do. And I would venture a guess that the boosters in the University of Georgia said, Kirby, whatever you need to do, brother, we'll write the checks for you. And he's like, rock and roll. And they go in and do an entire facelift. They change the whole thing. I'll bet you $16 to 3 donuts that the University of Georgia's facilities look a lot like the University of Alabama's facilities as far as setup, as far as weight room, as far as the murals on the walls, as far as the messaging, as far as what's being said to the players on a daily basis, as far as how they do their meals. I promise you, the University of Alabama's football culture is inside the University of Georgia's football culture. So when he came in, Kirby Smart understood that every little thing matters. The way the athletes put their shoes in their locker, that matters. The way they hang their pants up, that matters. The way they walk to class, that matters. The way they arrive in a meeting, that matters. The way they approach practice, that matters. So when you're building something as successful as that, every little piece matters, and nothing outside of those things are acceptable. Not acceptable. It's not acceptable to have one shoe facing this way and one shoe facing that way. Not acceptable. Whose shoes are these? It's not acceptable to have your pants hanging on the right side of the locker. They're supposed to be on the left side of the locker. That's not acceptable. That's not how we do things at the University of Georgia. It's not acceptable to put your helmet in up the back the wrong way. Your face mask faces out, son. I've told you this 1,000 times. This is how we do things at the University of Georgia. And if you can't do the small things right, then you're not going to do the big things right. And that's what they do. And looking at it from the outside, being that person, coach, it's just a helmet around backwards in the locker room. While, yes, that little bitty thing ain't that big a deal in that moment, in that particular environment, in that particular situation, it is important to the overriding culture of the organization. It is important to the overriding culture what's trying to be built. It is important to having everybody pulling the rope the same direction. It is important to the uniformity and that we're all going to do things the same way. Y'all, do you know that? That's why the Army does it. That's why the Navy does it. That's why these military organizations, where they've got to get a collective group of people who don't know who they are, who each other are, to join into one team, to join in on one mission, to join in on one thing. They try to build that uniformity in boot camp. This is the way your locker looks. This is the way these things are folded. This is the way your lock looks. This is the way your rifle needs to look. They do all those things for a reason. At the end of the day, making my kid make their bed every single day. Does it sound harsh? Yes. Making him walk back inside to make his bed. No, you're not going anywhere till you make your bed. You're not going anywhere till you brush your teeth. You're not going anywhere till you pick your things up in your room. No, that needs to be hung up. Yes, that needs to be folded up, put in the drawer. Those things in the whole grand scheme of things, can I nitpick my kids to death? Sure I can. And I can make all those small things be bigger than they are in the whole grand scheme of things. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to build the same thing in my family. I'm trying to build the same thing in my children, that every little thing matters. The way you wear your hair matters. The way you feel about yourself and the way you carry yourself matters to how you're viewed in public. So I was supposed to meet Rick Ruby this weekend in Charlotte, North Carolina. I didn't get a chance to meet him because our Fridays couldn't line up. Rick Ruby owns the Core Training. Core Training is if you look at the top 4 or 5 big training organizations in the United States as far as real estate, mortgages, sales, you got Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, Brian Buffini, Core. There's one more really big one. And so Rick had come to talk in Nashville. I went to a thing 2 weeks ago. It's just kind of what I do. So he had said some things in his talk. So I'm like, you know what? He lives in Charlotte. I'm going to go to Charlotte. So here's what I did. So this dude he's probably a multimillionaire. He's probably super, super successful. And I've been on this quest to find a mentor, to find someone who is doing things that I'm not doing. Finding someone who's building businesses, who has built businesses bigger than I have or bigger than I am. Again, we are a collection. And where you are in the next 5 years, sorry, I'm going to say it this way. Where you are in the next 5 years will be a collection of the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. Let me say that again. I'll say that pretty fast. 60 months from now, 5 years from now, your income level, the type of house you live in, the kind of car you drive, the vacations you go on, who you are and what you do 5 years from now, 60 months from now, will be a collection of the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. So I will say this. In my life personally, Aaron Dwyer personally, what I have found that over the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, that my social interactions are with you guys. My social interactions are with my wife. My social interactions are with my kids. So from a friend standpoint, there aren't a lot of people that we go hang out with, that we go spend time with. We have We have acquaintances at Exit. We have people that we see at conventions and people that we see at broker owner trainings and things that we do from time to time. And we see people, but as far as a group of people, like a friend list, people we go to dinner with or people we go hang out with, we don't have any of those. And I understand this rule. So I've been on this mission and I've got a couple, I'm going after big, if I'm going to have somebody mentor me, they're going to be big time. I'm not hanging out with turkeys. So Rick Ruby talks in Nashville. I'm like, you know what? I'll be in Charlotte in a couple of weeks. I'd love to sit down and just smoke. He said he smokes cigars. And he said, if somebody brings me a cigar that I like to smoke, then I'll give them enough time to have a conversation with me to smoke a cigar. And I'm like, psh. Challenge accepted. So I went back to the office. I found where his home address is. That's what I do. Found out where he lives, found his home address, made sure the information was correct, hand wrote a business card, thanked him for his talk. Y'all, do you not understand the power of a hand? So this guy, and I don't know if it's a prop or not. Again, I haven't gotten a chance to meet him. He had a flip phone in his pocket. And he says, I don't do Facebook. I don't do social media. He said, I have other people read my emails. He said, I'm just too busy to do this stuff. So this is, if I can limit the communication avenues to me, then I can spend more time on my business. And I'm like, dude, this guy is either super crazy or he's got this ish down, right? So he pulls his flip phone out. So I know I couldn't text him. So when I got back to the office, I found his home address. I found out where he lived in Charlotte. I got his home address. I found his home phone number. I found his cell phone number. I wrote him a handwritten card, stalkerish a little bit, yes. So I wrote him a handwritten card. Thanks for the talk. Thanks for coming to Nashville. Thanks for the inspiration. I'll be in Charlotte in a couple of weeks. Would love to be able to spend some time with you when I get there. What kind of cigars do you like? I put my card in the thank you card, put an envelope, and sent it. I'm driving home from taking Jagger to school last week. My phone rings. Hey, Aaron, it's Rick Ruby. Well, no, take that back. It was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. That's when it was. It was in Ace Hardware in Hartwell. And my phone rings, and it's Rick Ruby on the phone. He says, hey, Aaron, it's Rick Ruby. I'm like, whoa, hey, Rick, how are you? He goes, I got your card. Really cool. When do you want to meet? Okay. But the only time that he had this last weekend when I was in Charlotte was Friday at 1. And the only way I could make that work is take Jagger out of school. And Jagger already misses so much school. And I'm like, Rick, go ahead and schedule me for 1:30. Let me see what I can't get worked out. But it ended up not working out. So I tried to reschedule it Saturday. Didn't get to meet him. But here's my point. I'm going to meet with Rick Ruby. Rick Ruby is going to be one of my mentors. I'm going to be able to spend time with Rick Ruby and glean some information from him and be able to sit with him because he's no nonsense, man. He reminds me of a guy I was a police officer with that I absolutely loved named Mike Mann that I worked with all the time. But Rick reminds me a lot of Mike. The mannerisms, kind of their stature, their build. So it's pretty cool. But I'm going to make Rick Ruby is going to be one of my mentors, whether he knows it or not. He might as well just give in because he's going to be one of my mentors. And I'm going to get information from Rick. I may have to pay for coaching, but I don't think I will. But he's going to be one of my mentors. And I'm going to have those kinds of people in my life because it matters. Because it matters who you have in your life. If you hang out with turkeys, you never learn to fly. You might fly a little bit. If you hang out with ostriches, you'll never learn to fly. Or peacocks, you'll never learn to fly. You will be super pretty, and everybody will think you're gorgeous, but you won't fly. And you can hang out with turkeys and do what turkeys do. You hang out with eagles and you do what eagles do. Who do you believe yourself to be? Like attracts like. What you are seeking is seeking you. The things that you are looking for are looking for you. I'm seeking mentors who are high performers, who've done big things, who have done these things that we've not done. And I want those people in my life. I want those mentors in my life. I want them to tell me, hey, this is where you're missing this. Hey, this is what you're doing. Hey, you got to stop being soft over here. Hey, you got to get tougher here. It's never going to work. If you keep wearing your shoes that way, it's never going to work. If you keep wearing those kinds of belts, it's never going to work. If you keep drinking milk the way you drink milk, I promise you, you're going to. This is what I want. This is what you should want. You should want people who speak truth in your life. You should always speak truth to yourself because and I wasn't going to talk about this, but it's funny that it just came out of my mouth. One of the 4 things, The communication practices of world changers that we talked about from Robin Sharma's book. Number 4 is tell the truth. Always tell the truth. Always be honest. And guess where that starts? Always being honest with you. Always telling yourself the truth. When you have your self-talk, you're always telling yourself the truth. You're not thinking more of yourself than you should. You're being honest with your performance. You're being honest and being accountable to yourself. When it's time, this is an idea that I had for Kristen Ritchie. And maybe some of you could benefit from this. Raise your hand if you got in the real estate business for freedom. Raise your hand if you got in the real estate business for flexibility. Raise your hand if you got in the real estate business because you wanted to be able to come and go as you pleased. Raise your hand if you got a real estate license because it sounded really cool to be able to make $30,000 or $40,000 a year and not have to punch a clock. Okay, that's most everybody. If I talk to 90% of real estate agents who get in this business, it's all to be free. It's all to have time. It's all to be flexible. So I can go to my kids' hockey games, and I can go to my daughter's dance recitals, and I can go to my son's gymnastic routines, and I can go watch my kid do this or do that, or I could be with my husband when he travels, or I could be home, whatever. I've talked about the double-edged sword of freedom. I've talked about the bad side, the dark side of freedom, the yin and the yang. So the yang side of freedom is nobody's telling you what to do. Nobody's making you punch a clock. Now, if I change my tone, nobody's telling you what to do. Nobody's making you punch a clock. It's the same words, but the tone's different. One's very ominous, one's very hopeful. But at the end of the day, what hurts you most times in this business is nobody's there to make you punch a clock. Nobody's holding you accountable to your schedule but you. And so when we talk about one of the I promise you, if you Googled, as soon as this call's over, you could Google performance hacks for real estate agents. How can I improve my performance in 2023 for real estate? How can I make my real estate business better in 2023? Whatever you Google, it's going to give you a list of things. It's going to put you a link to Tom Ferry. You're going to have a link to Tom Ferry. You're going to have a link to this real estate training, that real estate training. And at some point in that first page of Google search, there's going to be a list. And one of the things on that list is going to be time blocking. Setting a schedule, sticking to a schedule, making sure that you're working when it's time to work. Every single one. Every single one, bar none. I've been in this business since 2006, and I've heard time blocking said probably 14,000 times. That you got a time block, you got to schedule, you got to schedule, you got to stick to your time block, you got to stick to your schedule, you got to prospect 2 hours a day, you got to follow with past clients, you got to have a routine. Has anybody ever heard that? We've all heard that. I've heard it in every SWAT training that we've done so far. That what's one of your major weaknesses? I don't time block. I don't schedule. I don't follow up. I don't prospect enough. I don't do. Those are all weaknesses. Those are all threats to your business. But every single weakness and every single threat can be easily transformed into an opportunity to make your business better. So one of our ideas, when we talked to Kristen Ritchie, and I haven't seen Kristen on here this morning, but one of the things we talked to with her was the same thing because she works full-time as a nurse. She's a nurse, and so she has to clock in. So she knows the beginning of her 12-hour shift, I'm clocking in. At the end of her 12-hour shift, she clocks out. Most of you who grew up in jobs, who grew up in the W-2 world, you clocked in and clocked out. So you were trading your time for money, right? And you would clock in a certain amount of time, and they would pay you for the time that you were clocked in. Some of you, and this is an idea, and this is a hack for y'all. Some of you need to download a time clock app on your phone. You are the CEO of your own business. You are the manager of your own business. You are the CEO and manager of yourself in your own business. So you yourself needs to be responsible to you yourself. You yourself needs to hold you yourself accountable. Again, what you're doing right now is a reflection of what you believe your future self to be. Some of you need something super simple like a time clock app on your phone. I'm certain, I haven't Googled this, haven't searched this. This was an idea that hit me the other day during Kristen's SWAT meeting, that some of you guys, probably all of us, need to have a time clock app on our phone. And we download this thing on our phone, we put it on our computer, and when we clock in for the real estate business, we hit the start button, clock in button. When we get finished with our real estate business or take a lunch break, we clock out. When we get back from our lunch break, when we start back in, we clock in. And then at the end of the week, you know how much time you've put into your real estate business. And you know exactly what effort you're putting into this thing. And then you can evaluate and look at the effort that you're putting in, the time that you're putting in, and evaluate your business based on that. Because I promise you, if you look up at the end of that week and you've only put 4 or 5 hours into your real estate business, then your future self says, at 4 or 5 hours invested in my real estate business, I'm probably not going to make $125,000. Because if you put 16 hours a month into your real estate business, you cannot in no way, shape, or form believe that you can earn $100,000 with 16 hours a week worth of work. There's no way on the planet you can earn $200,000 or $300,000 with 20 hours of work a week. So my advice to you, if you struggle with time blocking, if you struggle with time, download you a time clock app on your phone. Time clock app on your phone. Heck, if you want to go super extreme, go buy you. I'm sure you could probably get on Amazon or Facebook Marketplace or eBay and find one of those old time clocks, those old-timey time clocks that would hang on the wall, that you'd have the time cards that go clack, 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 and they would hammer them. I am certain you could probably find you one of those. And so the image in my head right now, do y'all remember, I want to say it's Foghorn Leghorn and the Sheepdog on Looney Tunes. So those of you who are as old as I am, you remember Looney Tunes. And some of the characters on Looney Tunes, you had Foghorn Leghorn, who's that big rooster. And then there was that shaggy-haired dog with the hair on his face. And it was, so it's like they would walk together talking, having a good day. We're just talking about our day. And they would get to a time clock. Or the chicken hawk. I don't remember where it was. But they were having a great conversation. They're walking along. They get to the time clock. They both punch in. And when they both punched into the time clock, they changed personalities. And now this dude and this dude were at war. And they fought for 8 hours. And then when the day was finished, when it was all done, the whistle sounded. They went back to the time clock. They clocked out. And they walked back talking to each other. I don't know, but maybe you need to hang a time clock in your office, wherever you do your real estate business. Maybe you put it on your desk and it makes a sound like clock, clock. And that way, you know, when you punch the time clock and you got your time card sitting there, that's your time card for the day. It's time to go. It's time to be a real estate agent. It's time to go be in my business. It's time to go get this thing. I can be nonchalant and I can be lackluster and lackadaisical if you want to be. I say you don't. And then I can punch in and I can change my personality. Like I did as a police officer. I was a dad, husband, cutting up until about an hour before it was time for me to go be a police officer. And then once I put my uniform on, click, click, I was clocked in. It was all business. It was looking for bad guys to chase. It was looking for bad stuff to happen. It was trying to get into the mix and trying to help make trying to put my Superman cape on and go make the world a better place. And you in the real estate business, you need to be the same way. You and your business, most of you on this call are all entrepreneurs. Most people who get drawn to this call are entrepreneurs of some sort. You're in the mortgage business. You're in the real estate business. You're a realtor. You're a loan officer. And you have a lot of freedom. Because all of you are independent contractors. You are your own CEO. You are your own manager. You are your own boss. And you're not responsible as an employee to the boss. Because I promise you, most of you would fire yourself if it were the other way around. They have a time clocking timer cube now. Something like that, Alex, would be fantastic. A time blocking cube. I'm telling you, the time blocking thing is fantastic because you can do that on your phone as well. But I'm telling you, I think I'll take it a step further. Time blocking is great, but you got to be clocked into your real estate business. Time blocking is fantastic once you get in there, but you got to be punched into your business. You got to be clocked into your business. You got to be clocked in. You got to go from Alex the mom mode, Alex the wife mode, into Alex the badass real estate agent mode. I got to go from Aaron walking around being Jagger's dad, Aaron walking around, trying to cook dinner and do all these other things, to Aaron the whatever I am of Exit Realty Lake Country. I've got to clock in. I've got to be fully vested. I've got to do the things that need to be done when I'm clocked in. I've got to be able to do the social media post. I've got to be able to do the encouragement. I've got to send the happy birthday wishes. I've got to plan for the next year. I've got to do all these things as part of running this company, or trying to run this company, or help run this company, or whatever the heck I do to make this thing work. But I got to get out of Aaron the dad mode, Aaron the person mode, into Aaron the CEO mode, or CFO mode, or CTO mode, or again, I really honestly don't know which hat I wear. I wear whatever hat I'm told to wear, I suppose. But I think the same thing for you guys. The time blocking cue is cool. I think I've seen this because you actually flip it. It takes you have it's a timer. And so when you flip it over, it starts your time back. And you start your time back, and it starts your time back. So if that's something that works for you, that's fantastic. What you do right now is a reflection of what you believe your future self to be. So let me break this down. In about, what time is it? 6:30, 7:30 Eastern. So in 7, 10, 5, in about 10 hours, I will be in Greensboro, Georgia, wearing not a hoodie, not lounge pants, but I'll be probably in a sport coat and jeans and boots at an event. That's where I'm supposed to be in 10 hours. So what I do right now, the clothes I pack, the conversations that I think I'm going to have, the preparation that I'm going to put together for this particular event, me driving to Hartwell, me taking a shower, me putting on different clothes, me preparing my mind for a networking event, me driving to Greensboro. All that in the future drives my behavior right now. Now, that's a very small, condensed version of what I'm talking about. But what happens this afternoon, what I do right now, impacts where I'm going to be this afternoon. Do you agree with that? Where I'm supposed to be this afternoon, what I'm supposed to be doing, my 10-hour from now self needs to be looking a different way than my right now self looks. So my 10-hour from now self is dependent on what I do right now to get me to that 10-hour from now self. That's a very small, granular, very specific circle, an example of what I'm trying to tell you. That who you are 5 years from now, who you are 6 months from now, who you are 12 months from now, what you achieve 12 months from now, what you achieve 6 years from now, what you achieve a month from now is all a direct reflection of what you do right now. And every decision you make, every conversation you have, the preparation that you put in right now, all the things you do in the present moment are all a reflection of where you're going to be then. And if you have a poor future vision of yourself, if you have a limited future vision of yourself, when I say your future vision of yourself, you're like, ho hum, not a big deal. It's going to be what it's always going to be. I'm just happy where I'm at right now. Then guess what? Your decisions will reflect that, because your decisions today will be, ho hum. It doesn't really matter. I'll just be this, and it's going to be okay. What Aaron's asking me to do is making me uncomfortable. He's always talking about this mindset stuff. He's always talking about these belief patterns. I think I just like where I am right now. I like how I want to be this. I want to be that. I'm good right here. I just don't really want to do this and don't really want to do that. You all have these conversations. When I send the SWAT When I send the SWAT invitations out, you're like, do I really want to take time out of my day to go do a SWAT? That's so much effort. I got to put time and effort into figuring out what I want to do and the goal stuff. I don't want to do that. I want to write my goals down. That's too hard to think about that. I don't even like goals because when I set a goal, I never meet them anyway. So what's the point of even writing a goal down? And so now I'm just not going to do it at all. I'll just ignore it. I'm not going to do that invitation thing. Who cares? We'll just be what it's going to be. And then 6 months from now or 8 months from now, you're going to be sitting there like this going, I don't have any real estate business. It must be Exit's fault. I think I'm going to go to EXP. 6 months from now, 8 months from now, you're going to be sitting there going, man, my real estate business sucks. Aaron and Christy said they were going to help me. They haven't done a thing. This training at Exit, I just really wanted you guys to train me better. I wanted more one-on-one interactions. I think I'm just going to go to Keller Williams because Keller Williams says they have training. I don't even like Exit anymore because but at January 1st, they're going to put me back on a 70% split. And I don't want to make 70%. I want to make 80%. So I don't really even care about the residuals. I'm not a recruiter. I want to be a real estate agent. 6-8 months from now, your communication, your language is going to change because of what you're doing right now, because you're ho-hum about things. And I'm trying to tell you right now that your beliefs and your desires and your wants and what you see for your future self, for you, for your husbands, for your spouses, for your kiddos, for your community, for your friends, for your referrals, for your clients. Your future self's picture needs to be so fantastically awesome that everything that you do right now is fantastically awesome. You put your shoes in the locker the right way. You put your helmet in your locker the right way. You clock in. When it's time to clock in, you clock in and you give it everything you've got. You hang your pants up on the left side of the locker. You attend your meetings. You're there when you're supposed to be there. You're connected with the other agents in our company. You're connected with Aaron and Christy. You're reading books. You're doing your affirmations. You are caring so much about your future self that your behavior in the present is exemplary. And then you start to care about every single detail to the nth degree because you know that collection of atoms, that collection of molecules, that collection of experiences, that collection of things is who you are. And the only way to make the who you are different 6 months from now or 12 months from now or 5 years from now, the only way to change who you are is to change who you think you'll be. That's why it's so important. That's why it's so important. It's important for me to see all of you be the best versions of you. It's important for me, for every one of you to reach your full potential. It's important for me that everything that comes out of Exit Realty Lake Country feels exactly the same way as everything that comes out of the University of Alabama. And if somebody leaves our company because you've outgrown us, because you've gotten past us, because you're thinking bigger than Aaron and Christy are thinking, that you're thinking grander than Aaron and Christy think, then by all means, you go do that. And we will support you, just like Nick Saban supported Kirby Smart. I'm sure when Kirby Smart looked at Nick Saban and say, Nick, man, I really appreciate everything you've done for me. I really, really appreciate the time and the chance and you taking some risk on me. And I've got a chance to go be the head coach at the University of Georgia, my alma mater. And I really want to take it. And you've given me so much at the University of Alabama. You've taught me so much. And I hope that we can remain friends, and I hope that we can have a great rivalry moving forward. And I promise you, Nick Saban looked at Kirby Smart across the table with tears in his eyes and said, Kirby, I couldn't be more proud, because what you're doing is exactly what I thought you'd do. And where you're going is exactly where I thought you would go. And of course, you've had my blessing. Of course, I'm going to be a great rival with you. And we're going to have some fantastic battles. But man, you go do it. because nobody could be better for the University of Georgia than Kirby Smart. And they got up in that meeting, and I have no idea, but I'll guarantee this that happened. When Kirby Smart writes his memoir, y'all think about this conversation Aaron Dwyer had with y'all. And they got up, they gave each other a big old hug with tears in their eyes and said, "Good luck, man." And Kirby Smart probably looked back at it and said, "I'll see you in Atlanta." And they probably had a little laugh, and that was it. That's what I want Exit Realty Lake Country to be. That's what I want this to be. And when it's time for you to go out and spread the Exit Realty Lake Country love, it may be in your own company. It may be with another company. But you're going to have a chance to go spread that love. And I want nothing more than every one of you to be the best version of you, to be operating up here. That's what I want for every one of y'all. And as long as you'll let me speak into your life, as long as you'll let Christy and I speak into your life, as long as you'll let Exit Realty Lake Country speak a little love into your life, man, we'll be here to do it. We'll be here to do it. Been an hour. Got to go. For those of you that'll be at the Lake Country Board this evening, look forward to seeing you. Can't wait to see you. Me and Cooper are about to get in the car and head to Georgia. He said, "What? We are?" So we'll see y'all tonight. Love y'all. I hope this. We don't have many people on this call this morning, so I guess either the message is falling flat or maybe it just wasn't a good morning. But I thought this was pretty good. So maybe you'll go back and watch it later. Love you guys. Be good. Be great. Be you. And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, y'all.